All right, we're back with episode 12, and today's video is titled 5 Things You Can Do to Instantly Become More Confident and Charming in Any Situation. So some of these methods are my own, and some of them I learned from the YouTube channel called Charisma on Command that I'm going to link in my bio so I can give credit where credit is due. So the first thing you can do is something called the best friend method, this is my method, this is what I made up, or what I use all the time. So treat every new person you meet as if they're your best friend, as if you have known them for years. Don't be afraid to make them feel comfortable by first seeing what you guys have in common. So if you want to find out what you guys have in common, what you have to do is you have to start with small talk, right? And often small talk is very boring and often doesn't get anywhere because it's very lame. It's like questions like, weather's weird. You think the weather's weird, or what's your major, or just basic boring questions like that. But the small talk questions you really should start with is ask them about their hobbies, their interests, the things they like to do for fun. And once you figure out what you two have in common, so let's say you ask them, what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? And they say, I like working out. And then you can say, oh, wow, I like working out too. What gym do you go to? And they'll say, I'll go to this gym. What kind of workouts do you do? How often do you go? Do you follow any YouTube personalities, fitness YouTube personalities, and you can get that conversation flowing. And so, you find something in common. And if that doesn't work, if you can't find anything in common with small talk, the last resort you can do is to use humor, is to not be afraid to use humor around them, any kind of humor, if the small talk questions don't work, because everyone loves a good laugh, even, serious people. So, don't be afraid to make them feel comfortable. The second method is to own your strengths and your flaws. Don't be insecure or scared to mention your flaws. Own it. Learn to make fun of yourself. So I'll give an example. Right now I weigh about 182. I lost some weight, but I used to weigh close to 200, because I was bulking, and I was really obsessed with gaining weight. So I was eating like crazy, training like crazy. And my friends are all like, "Ooh, you look noticeably heavy, you got your face looking a little fatter. You're looking a little chunkier, your definition is gone." And I'm like, honestly, you're right. Like from the back, like I used to have like a little V-taper cobra back, but now I'm shaped like Shrek from behind, like straight, like no shape whatsoever. It's just like that. And so don't be scared to own your flaws. I replied, I'm like, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. I for sure gained some weight, a little too much, too much fat like that. And don't be afraid to own your flaws. And proof of this is one of my last podcasts, I basically exposed myself. I'm not scared of talking about my flaws. So that's one thing people should stop being insecure and scared of, is mentioning their flaws. Because when you do mention your flaws and you're confident about it, that you do have flaws and you should work on them, you look like a confident person, right? You don't look insecure about it. And then the third thing is overlook any insult, especially if you are unbothered by them. So what's the point of replying to one if you're unbothered? It just makes you look insecure. And there's a Bible verse that perfectly shows my view on this, and it's Proverbs 12:16. Fools show their annoyance at once, but the prudent overlook an insult. So what this means is that the foolish people show their anger and annoyance right away when they get insulted. But prudent, wise people, they overlook an insult. So if you don't know what a prudent man or woman is, it's a person who cares about the future and who's wise. So it says that the wise overlook an insult. And I'll give an example of this. Not too long ago, I was hanging out with my friends, and one of my other friends was giving me some hostile energy, and they were throwing slight little insults, and they set up a certain insult, and I basically replied with "ouch," and I smiled. And at the end of the day, after everyone left, my friend came up to me, and he said, "How come you didn't say anything? How come you didn't tell this person to at least shut up?" Or my other friend said this. And I said, why bother? If I'm unbothered by it and I'm not offended by it, why would I reply to an insult? So overlook insults. But if something does bother you, like even a little bit, so you don't look super insecure about it, you can, instead of getting all butthurt about it, you can reply with sarcasm or a joke, But the best thing to do is to overlook an insult, especially if it doesn't bother you. The fourth method is body language. It's another one you can use. So obviously the most important thing when it comes to body language is eye contact, right? Everyone knows this, but nobody really truly pays attention to how important it is. Another thing you should do is never cross your arms when you meet new people, whether you're at a job interview or you're, meeting a new girl, a new guy, new friends, you're a new group of friends, whatever. Never keep your arms crossed, because what that shows is you're not really interested. So when you do this and you're all closed in, you're basically, you're basically telling those people or that person like, hey, I don't want you in my space because I'm nervous. And another thing you can do is show your palms. And this sounds weird, but this is a body language technique that a lot of people use to show that they're trustworthy and that they're open to you being in your space. So I watched a video on Charisma, a video from Charisma on Command, and he was reviewing Mark Zuckerberg and why he looks super awkward all the time in interviews and stuff like that, because he's not a very social person. He has the charisma of a brick wall. So what Mark Zuckerberg would often do is when he's talking, he would be all closed in like this, or he would hide his palms or squeeze his hands like this and keep him close to himself. And that's what makes him look very, like untrustworthy, It makes him look like he has something to hide, especially when you hide your palms. But when you keep your palms open and you talk with your hands out and open like this, you're showing that person or other people like, hey, I'm comfortable around you guys and I'm comfortable being myself and this and that. Yeah. Another very important thing about eye contact is, let's say you're in a group interview, right? And there's 4 people interviewing you and like a main manager and 3 other people interviewing you. And there's a rule that I learned from Charisma on Command, and it's give each person at least 2 to 5 seconds of equal eye contact. Unless one of these people, let's say the manager, is talking to you the most and giving you eye contact the most, give them the most eye contact, but everyone else, give them equal amounts. So about 2 to 5 seconds. That way everybody feels included, Because people love people who makes them feel included. You're a very likable person if you make others feel included. And the best way to make others feel included is, even if they're not talking to you, is if you're giving, let's say, not even a job interview. Let's say you just met a new group of friends, right? Or you just meet, like a new group of people. If you give them each eye contact while you're telling a story or a joke, you make them all feel included. Or let's say you were just giving one person eye contact and everybody else you weren't really looking at. You're just like telling the story and you're looking at this particular person. Everyone else doesn't feel included, but everyone feels included when you look at them and you tell the story, like 3 seconds, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say I'm at a job interview, right? And they ask me, hey, what's your job experience like? And there's 4 of them, right? And the manager asks me, and so I give them each 2 to 5 seconds of eye contact, and I say, so for example, like this, oh, I used to work for Jeff Bezos, I was his water boy. It didn't really work out so well because he had a really creepy laugh, so I had to quit because his laugh was just like a Marvel supervillain laugh, and I was just very uncomfortable around him, He looks like a robot, he has a little eye twitch going, and I got really creeped out, so that's why I quit. But yeah. So here's an example of giving everyone equal eye contact. Just pretend there are people in front of me. And now the last method is Alan from Hangover method, or the Jack Black method, or you can call this the Goofy method. So basically, be comfortable with the way you look, act, and talk around different people and even strangers. Be comfortable being yourself. No one likes a person who puts on an act because they are scared of being themselves. Because when you put on an act, you just look fake. You look like you're insecure. You look like you're insecure. You don't like being yourself at all, right? And people don't really like that. People love other people who are confident in themselves. Even if they're very goofy, clumsy, they still love it that you own those flaws. Like I said in my second or third thing. Okay. So basically the fear of looking stupid is holding you back. So the reason I call it the Alan from Hangover method or Jack Black method is because if you've ever seen Alan from Hangover, aka Zach Galifianakis or Jack Black at talk shows or interviews, they're very confident in themselves. Like, let's say, for example, I saw an Ellen show where everybody was dressed nicely in suits and stuff. He comes in there in I think it was Ellen. He comes in there in like a jacket. He's looking a little messy. His pants don't match. He just looks very like clumsy, right? And he unbuttons his shirt. He lets his stomach hang loose and he just sits there like this, And he looks like a clumsy person, but what he's actually showing is, hey, I am super comfortable. I am not worried about people's perception. And because he's not worried about people's perception, he can focus more on being the funny comedian he is, right? Also, don't be afraid of grabbing attention by telling a joke or a great or funny story. Be comfortable, and also be comfortable with complimenting other people, and don't be afraid of going over the top, right? So yeah, so be very comfortable grabbing attention by telling a joke or a story, but don't let all the attention just be focused on you, because then you look self-conceited and narcissistic. So what you do is you share that spotlight with someone else. So let's say I met a new group of people and I'm telling a joke or a great story or a funny story, and they're paying attention to me. And then after, I ask one of them, hey, what was your high school experience like? Or you tell me a great funny story. And I point the spotlight towards them, right? So not only does that make you look like a very confident person, it makes you look very humble as well. And yeah. And also, don't be afraid of going over the top with compliments, right? So for example, one time I was at the gym and my friend introduced me to this other guy. And I'm like, damn, you got a license for those guns? I'm not afraid of putting people on top, like over me, like on a higher, what's that called, pedestal than me. And that's basically proof that you're a confident person if you're not scared of someone being above you, right? So I'm like, damn, you're very lean, you're a good looking dude, like, save some girls for the rest of us nerds. I have to compensate by being funny, and you got the whole package. You're funny, you're tall, and you're buff, man. But yeah. So the moral of this video is, do not be afraid of looking stupid, and do not be afraid of people's perceptions of you. Being yourself is honestly the best thing you can do, especially if you're confident in yourself. No matter how goofy you are, no matter how weird you are, if you're yourself and you're confident with it, and whatever joke you tell or comedy skit you do or story, you go fully through with it, even if you think nobody will care, nobody will laugh. It just shows that you're very confident. So yeah, don't be afraid of looking stupid, because it's going to hold you back. But yeah, thank you.